My stomach hurts so bad. Like, I have major stomach issues. Like, major. And I haven't had coffee in a really long time because coffee makes my stomach hurt really bad, and I used to drink all the time in middle school. And so I haven't drinking it in like years, and you know, my mom thought it was a really good idea to like for me to drink again. You know, maybe it would, you know, but it did the well, it kind of, you know, my stomach just really hurts. So if you have stomach issues and you want to comment down below something that helps you, it's like I'm doing Steph Bohrer's book tag video, and I'm using all of her questions that she did in her video. The first question is a book you tell people is your favorite. And this is like a very basic answer. Keep in mind, I've only read like 40 books, okay? This was the first book I read that got me into reading, so nothing can ever compare. I feel like if anything is ever comparing to it, I'm always going to put it above because it was the first book I read and it was what made me love reading. So something has to be like astronomically better, which I am reading a good book right now, which I will show you in a little bit, that is really good, but I still don't think it's going to pass it, and that is It Ends With Us. I know. But I can remember everything in this book. Everything. And that is saying something because I have terrible memory. And this is the first book I read. So the fact that I can remember everything, I know it's like really basic and like, but sorry. The second question is a book that is your guilty pleasure. This is like, no one else has ever read this book. Unless, like, there's not a lot of people, no one on like booktube or anything has ever read this book, because it is Moonwalk by Michael Jackson. This is my guilty pleasure because my favorite singer is Michael Jackson. So like just reading it was just like, no one has ever read it, so I feel like that just, you know, guilty pleasure. Like, I just want to learn more about him. And also I have another book for this, which is Anna Holidays. This book, literally, it like people like this book, but they don't love it. And I feel like the reason I loved it, and it's like my guilty pleasure, is because it's like a comfort book. If this was a Christmas movie, I feel like it would be one you would watch every year, like Elf or whatever like that. Like, I have tabs that are in here that are just something that resonates in my life. Like, it's just, I feel like this book was made for me. So I feel like it's just meant to be, and it's just guilty pleasure because it's a Christmas book and I love Christmas. I love Christmas. Like, nostalgic books for me are Christmas books, not summer books. I mean, they both are, but Christmas is so nostalgic to me. I love Christmas. The next question is a book that everyone loved, but I didn't, and that is Reminders of Him. And this is because this is literally my least favorite book I have read ever. Not just Colleen Hoover. This is my least favorite book. And this is like a lot of people's favorite Colleen Hoover book. That's why it's, you know, everyone loved it, but I didn't. You get the... I did not want the couple in here together at all. I'm gonna get so much... Don't come for me. I just didn't like the book. It just... Their connection, I didn't feel the connection like everyone else did. Okay? Sorry. I feel like I wear this sweatshirt in every single video. It has like crumbs on it, but whatever. The next one is a book you read the fastest, and this is a recent book that I read, which is Layla by Colleen Hoover. And I feel like every Colleen Hoover book you just read fast because she just has very like quick, easy, crack writing. I read this in a day. Like, I feel like I read books, like I read the Michael Jackson book in like, I guess a day, but like it was, I started at night and then slept and then finished in the morning, and it probably wasn't a 24-hour span, but this like actually was like, I didn't sleep, like it was in the same day. But I'm not a fast reader, like it was like 12 hours. A book that deserves more hype is the next question, and I also have Layla for this one. I don't know why, I just really love this book. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Like, everyone doesn't like, not that they don't like it, it's just like they find it boring. Like Destiny, by reading the back, she guessed the plot twist, and like, I don't know if I'm just dumb, but like I didn't. Also, I've watched Sam and Colby for like years, and they do like paranormal stuff, and this has like paranormal stuff, so that's probably why I liked it more. But it's usually on the bottom of people's lists for Colleen Hoover books, and I it's like at the top for me, like one of the top ones I've read. I just thought it was so interesting and a different kind of, it was just different from what I've been reading. Another one is also a Colleen Hoover book, which is All Your Perfects, and I just think this was a beautiful and just such a real story, and the ending was very satisfying, and I feel like it's usually middle or end of people's list for Colleen Hoover, but it is one of my top books. I rated it 5 stars. It was just real. Like it was real. The next one is like a book or movie that's turning into a TV show, which is this book right here, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yeah, that. It is a show right now, and it has been out for like a couple days now, or like a week now, and I keep saying you need to watch it, but I just haven't had time. So I need to watch this. Also, what is becoming a movie as well is It Ends With Us, which the casting is a little iffy, but the casting for this I've seen is really good. But we'll see how I like either of those. The next one is a book you reread the most, and I have never reread a book because I, once again, have only read like 40 books. So, you know, I have books on my TBR rather than rereading, but I feel like if I ever were to reread a book, it would be probably in a holidays, just because it's like, once again, a comfort read. I feel like I could see myself reading this during Christmas time for years to come. Also, probably It Ends With Us, maybe. I was gonna reread this before I read It Starts With Us, but I just watched Destiny's reading vlog, and I was like, I think I'm fine. I think I remembered it all, so I didn't really need to. The next one is a book from a genre that you don't typically read, and that is obviously Moonwalk by Michael Jackson. This is the only nonfiction autobiography book that I've read. I do have another one. I haven't read it yet, so this. And also Shatter Me. It's dystopian. It's the most, really, it's the closest thing I've ever been to fantasy. It's not fantasy. It's dystopian, but it's definitely different from books that I've read. And because the only other one that's like close to fantasy, but it's not fantasy at all, it's literally a romance, just like with witches, is like the X-Hex, but that's literally, the subplot is the witch part. The main part is literally the romance. A book that deserves all the hype it gets, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book is not just a book, it is a masterpiece. I think they should make this a show, and like every episode is like a different husband. I think I just like old Hollywood behind the scenes of acting more than singing. I think that's why I liked this book better than Daisy Jones and the Six. I still love them both, but this as a show would be so cool too. This was just a masterpiece, and it deserves every ounce of hype that it got, because I didn't expect to love it that much, and 5 stars. The next one is a book you recommend when you're giving a recommendation. I've recommended It Ends With Us a lot, because that's just it's usually what I say as my favorite book, so I'm like, yeah, you should read it too. The only one that I recommended It Ends With Us to my mom, and she read it and she liked it. And then we were at Barnes & Noble, and she was looking for a thriller. I'm pretty sure it was The Housemaid, which I also want to read too, but we couldn't find it there. So I was like, maybe you should read Verity, because you like Colleen Hoover and you want a thriller. So I was like, might as well read this one. So she bought it. She hasn't read it yet though, but we'll see how she likes it. The next question is, I'm guessing my dinner is here. The next question is a book with your favorite characters, and right now I am reading Things We Never Got Over, and right now these are my favorite characters I've ever read. I love the characters in here, like every single one. I just love them. They're so good. But I haven't finished it yet, but this right now is seeming like a 5 star. I really like this book. It literally feels like you're watching a show, and that's why I like the characters, because I can really like envision them. Also, another book that characters I really like is the Shatter Me series, and all the characters in here. I always think about the characters in here. Like, the books haven't been extraordinarily good, but I always think about the books, and that's, I think, what's making it really good. And I'm really excited for third book, which everyone says is the best one. So I think I'll fall even more in love with the characters and more in love with the series after that book. The next question is a book you wish you can live in, and absolutely 100% The Summer I Turned Pretty. I would obviously want to live in a gorgeous beach house with like mom's boys lake, obviously. Like, it's just summer vibes. I used to go to a beach house when I was younger, and I wish I could do it again, once again. I want to go back to those times when I felt alive. A book you thought you would hate but ended up loving is the next question, and I have a few. First is Layla, because nobody liked this book. This was like everyone's least favorite. No, I feel like there's some that are like people, but they just found it boring. So I was like, I don't really think, it was sitting on my shelf because I was like, I don't really want to read it. Everyone doesn't like it. But I ended up really liking it. It was a really cool concept. Also, next, I didn't think I was going to hate it, but I was scared that I wouldn't like this dystopian or like anything different from like romance or thriller kind of stuff. But I've really been enjoying Shatter Me. And then next, also, I didn't think I was going to hate this, but I just didn't really know what it's about. So, like, I just wasn't expecting to love it as much as this Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Like, this, just like, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect to love it that much, you know? Like, I didn't expect to hate it, I just didn't expect to love it that much. The next one is a book that made you cry, and I don't cry at movies, I don't cry at books, I literally never cry. I think, though, I cried at It Ends With Us because I was on my period when I read that, and when I'm on my period, I get very emotional. I think I also shed some tears over Darling Benham. There was this one scene, something that the brother talked about, and it just, I think my eyes were watering, okay? But nothing has ever made me bawl my eyes out. I think like one tear came down for It Ends With Us, but that was probably because I was on my period. The last one is a book that you wish you could reread for the first time, and I would say It Ends With Us, mostly because it was the first book I read, so I wish I could read it for the first time, but at a different point to see if I would have loved it as much, because I feel like the reason I love it so much is because it's what got me into reading, and I feel like if I read it just at like a different point, if I would have loved it as much. That was everything. I don't think I missed stuff because I was doing some books twice for some things, so I don't think I missed anything in some questions, but because it wasn't really, my books weren't really stacked in order, so I kind of was just like, which book is for this question? Comment down below your answers to some of these questions and what your favorite book is. Never will I ever drink coffee again. Actually, maybe I will. I get really shaky. So also comment down below stomach issue problem solutions. Thank you. Now I have to put all of these books back on my bookshelf.